Hakka e tipu a taupuru ai ho, te rangi ti hore te rangi waruhia ki a mātou koe, ki te ata nei ho mai hei tohi moto na matu te rangi. Tata e tiera, ti whai a, ki runga rā, ki a matariki, ki a tutahi, ki a rehua, ki a tukirua, ki a tautoru, ki a whānui, ki a puanga, ki a pautu, te rangi, ki a marere o tonga, ki a whakaahunuku, ki a whakaahurangi. Ki a kōpū, ki a pare ārau, ki a taumata kuku, ki a te kokotā, ki a whitutaupeka, ki a mare ao. Ki e hotupi te hirirangi ki a pi a wai ki a o tamarākau ki ngā whetū tapu o te tau. Manawa mai e te putango matariki, manawa mai e te ariki o te rangi, manawa mai e te mātahi o te tau. Haumi e, hui e, i, ai ki e. Tuatahi ake, nei rā te mihi. Ki te atua, nā nei ngā mea katoa, koe te kingi o ngā kingi, te ariki o ngā ariki, te atua o ngā atua. Nō reira, whakamoimuti ki tōna ingoa tapu pō te ao te pō. Ngā mihi hoki ki ngā hunga mate o tēnei whenua, haere ngā mate, haere ki te wā kāinga, haere ki te kāinga tūturu o tō mātou nei matua nui te rangi, haere, oki. Huni nei aku whakaro ki a tātou ngā hunga ora, ngā kanahi ora ki Wainganui a mātou, ngā emarati, ngā tangata whenua o tēnei whenua, nei rā te mihi ka tika ki a koutou. Anei mātou e mihi whakatau ki a koutou, ka whakatairanga i tō mātou nei ake ahurea ki a koutou, no Aotearoa, no Poronihia, no reira, ahalama, sahala, nau mai, haramai, kua tātou nei whakaaturanga. Kia ora. Tēnā tātou. Ladies and gentlemen, kia ora.
Kia ora.
Feel free to keep laughing. Kate, Kate. I'd like to start by simply sharing a greeting word in our language, in the Māori language. The greeting word is kia ora. So it's two words. The first word is kia, like kia, the car. And then ora. Can you bring them together? Can you say kia?
Kia.
Ora.
Ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Very good. Ka pai. So that is the greeting language that we use to greet each other. Kia ora means to live. You can say it for hello. You can say it for thank you. There's also a physical greeting that we have as well called a hungi. A hungi is the pressing of noses to noses and forehead to forehead. It is a symbolic representation of the sharing of intellect and breath. Some tribes do it twice. Once for the living and once for the dead. And that is hongi, very much still practiced, still very much alive today. If you go to Aotearoa, New Zealand, you will see this practice on a daily basis, and perhaps you can ask some questions more about that later on. But just to share with you, before we do the Hakka is nowhere near as long as a dance as a habia, and I'm sure it can be even longer. So the Hakka is only going to take a minute. So we're going to share some little snippets, other aspects of our culture that all tie together as one as well. So geographically, Aotearoa is in the Polynesian Triangle, so we are Polynesians. Has anyone seen the movie Moana? Yes, Disney movie Moana. So aspects of that culture, from the language to the chicken called Hei Hei, to the people that play the voices. There are many Māori. In fact, Moana's dad, he's Māori, Tim Morrison. Many aspects of that movie represents Māori culture and island culture as well. So in terms of geography, we are at the bottom of the Polynesian Triangle. The top of the triangle is Hawaii, the bottom left is us, Aotearoa, New Zealand, and then the far right is Marquesas, Tahiti, French Polynesia. So any islands in that triangle is Polynesia. Poly meaning many, islands as Nesia. So Polynesia, so you have Tonga, you have Samoa, Tahiti, Cook Islands, just to name a few. Now, if you go to Aotearoa today, we make up about 20% of the population, 5 million people, 60% Caucasian or New Zealand European, and then the other 20% is a mixture of ethnicities from around the world, including neighbouring islands like Cook Islands and Samoa and Tonga, as I mentioned before. We were colonised in the early 1800s, 1840 to be exact, is when the Treaty of Waitangi was signed. Abel Tasman came first in the 16th century, and then about 120 years later, James Cook came. But we were there for about 800-900 years prior to the arrival of the early settlers. And we were very much a tribal people. In fact, we didn't consider ourselves Māori. Māori was actually a word that we use for normal. But Māori now is used to describe the native people of New Zealand. But before the Europeans came and they lumped us all together as one, we actually saw ourselves as our own tribe. So I'm Ngā Puhi, other tribes are Ngāti Ranginui, for example. So we are tribal people, and one thing that tribes like to do is we like to go to war with each other. So we're going to share with you a staff. This is called the taiaha. The taiaha is a quarter staff, a spear used handheld, not thrown. So the end is called the rau. The rau was used for blocking and striking. And the ends are blunt because it's made of wood from the strongest trees in Aotearoa, New Zealand, such as the kauri and the maire and the tōtara. The ends were blunt, they were called the ate and the whakarehu, used for thrusting your opponent. But now we're going to share with you about 5 minutes of different blocks, some footwork that we have as well, because when it comes to our mo taiaha, it's important that you're able to move your own body. There is a proverb called he waiwai taumaha, he kiri māku, which means heavy feet, wet skin. So if you can't move your own body, what business do you have moving the taiaha, which the taiaha is the representation of our ancestors. So we'll take about 5 minutes to share with you a bit of our martial arts. And please, it's quite tiring, so in between, feel free to clap so we can catch you.